How's it going, Starseekers? My name's Gotcake, and today I'm bringing you a review of one of the most surreal and bizarre titles I've played in a long time. Paratopic has been classified as a first-person horror, though I'd deem the term unsettling to be more of an adequate match, as you follow its short 45-minute story along dark highways through rundown apartment blocks and picturesque woods. Now, following a warning that the game has no save feature on its first and only loading screen, Paratopic starts off innocently enough with an interrogation from a disappointed looking fella who speaks in a language you can't quite understand. We get to answer his questions by selecting one of the several dialogue options, and the outcome of our choices are our main source of information on what the hell is happening in Paratopic. The storyline is intentionally obscure. As each subsequent playthrough we can select alternative dialogue options to piece the game's story together. Now, without giving too much away, the game's plot revolves around some VHS tapes that appear to have some strange effects when watched, sorta like in the movie The Ring, though these don't make some creepy dead girl crawl out of the TV. It seems these tapes have some sort of addictive nature to them as well, as people you meet want a cut of your stash, and in the game's intro you're in a spot of bother for trying to smuggle them across the border. So the game follows the journey of those who were unlucky enough to get involved with the aforementioned tapes. We experience all of this from a first person perspective, and the game's controls are simple. We're able to move around the different areas with the left thumbstick, and the right thumbstick is used to look around. We could also interact with objects we find using the A button, and the people we meet speak to us when we approach them, and we can use the D-pad to select our dialogue options. Now, there's no combat in the game per se, but in certain parts you can wield a pistol or camera, and we can use our left trigger to aim and the right trigger to take pictures or fire our gun. So as you play through Paratopic, the game frequently cuts from one location to the next. One moment you're in a diner, the next in a dingy looking apartment block, and then you're driving down an empty road with a storage container on the seat beside you. Your first playthrough of the game will likely see you confused about everything that's happening until it reaches its conclusion, and even then you may still be scratching your head wondering what you just witnessed. After this, the achievement screen is shown to you, and you then realise that there's still more to be discovered in the game, and so then it's up to you whether or not you dive back in for another hour's worth or just call it quits. Now, the game does reward those who explore dialogue options and locations more truthfully with additional storyline hints, though I found most of these dialogue options still lead to the same conclusion, and the story doesn't really deviate much from its singular course. I really would have liked to have seen branching story paths revealing more details about the tapes and their origins, but unfortunately after my third playthrough I didn't manage to find any alternative routes or endings to the game, and most of my attempts to explore the boundaries were blocked by invisible walls or halted by strange glitch-like loop sequences. So as with everything else in Paratopic, the game's visuals are also pretty disturbing and obscure. Throughout the game we find ourselves surrounded by low resolution textures that only hint at what most objects could be. I actually really like the developer's decision to use 32-bit visuals, which very closely imitate visuals found throughout the PlayStation 1 era of gaming. It's unusual to see this style used in most games, as I think the 8 and 16-bit graphics have seen somewhat of a comeback in recent years. But I do hope we see other developers adopting these type of visuals in the coming years, and we see the return of those fantastically mutated looking faces slapped onto low polygon heads. Now, I'm going to keep this review very short, as it's hard not to spoil what is a decent, if somewhat confusing story, so I'll finally touch on the game's audio, which I thought matched the rest of the game perfectly. I really liked the dark ambient musical score, which only added to the unsettling nature of the game. And I've already mentioned the strange semi-comprehensible dialogue, which you also get plenty of time to listen to during those long lonely drives. Though I wouldn't count on being able to make sense of any of it, which is to be expected by this point really. I'll end by saying, don't buy Paratopic expecting to find a traditional horror action game, because it's more akin to a walking simulator than any other genre. I personally really enjoyed the experience, and I recommend it to anyone looking for something a little different, especially those who like to read between the lines when it comes to gameplay plots. So now we come to rating the game. Now, I rate games between 1 and 5 stars, with a shovelware stamp of approval reserved for the worst games on the eShop. This rating is based on my own personal opinion on what the game has to offer in terms of gameplay and value for money to potential buyers. And for a rating I'd give Paratopic 3 out of 5 stars. The game is a dark, surreal and perplexing trip, which I found felt very close to what actual nightmares I've experienced felt like, and by the end of it you'll likely be left with the same confusion that only dreams bring, after you've awoken from them and tried to comprehend them. Paratopic will be available on the Switch on the 21st of August, and you can get it from the UK Switch eShop for £4.99, or from the US eShop for $5.49. Alternatively, the game's also available now on Steam. Hey Starseekers, I hope you enjoyed this review of Paratopic, and if you did, hit that like button and let me know your thoughts and opinions on the game in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe for future Switch reviews and content, and jump onto the Starseekers Discord to get involved with its growing community. For now though, I just want to say thanks once again for watching, and until next time, game on.